Beneath the streets of Rome, under the marble floors of St. Peter's Basilica, lies a labyrinth of tunnels, chambers, and vaults that very few have ever seen. They call it the Vatican Secret Archives, but even that name feels deceptive, as if the word, secret, could possibly describe the immensity of what's locked away in those endless corridors. For centuries, whispers have spread among scholars, priests, and truth seekers. They say the vaults hold not just ancient manuscripts, but forbidden knowledge, knowledge so explosive it could rewrite human history, destroy faiths, and even change the way we understand reality itself. It begins with a rumor, as all great mysteries do. In the late 1800s, a Jesuit priest studying within the Vatican stumbled across a catalogue entry for a manuscript so old, it was said to have been written not by human hands but dictated by celestial beings. The document was not listed under the regular archives. Instead, it was filed under what Vatican insiders called non publicum. That was a category reserved for works so sensitive that even cardinals were forbidden to read them without papal approval. Within weeks, the priest vanished, and the entry itself was erased from official catalogues. His disappearance was explained away, but for those who knew him, it was clear, he had found something he was never meant to see. The Vatican Vaults have been expanding for centuries, each pope adding to the collection. What started as a small archive of letters and church records grew into one of the largest repositories of hidden history on Earth. Some estimates claim the vault stretches for nearly 53 miles of shelving, containing more than 12 centuries of documents. To this day, less than 1% has ever been made available to outside scholars. And even those allowed entry can only request specific documents by title, a near impossible task when you don't even know what you're looking for. The deeper you go, the stranger the stories become. Whistleblowers from within the Vatican claim there are sealed rooms that house artifacts the public would never believe. Among the whispers, fragments of Gospels describing Jesus not as a divine figure, but as a teacher of hidden sciences, scrolls from the Library of Alexandria thought to be destroyed, even star maps carved into obsidian tablets said to predate human civilization itself. One persistent legend claims that the vault contains a detailed record of humanity's true origins, one that contradicts every sacred text ever published. But perhaps the most disturbing rumor is that among the confiscated treasures are the personal notebooks of Nikola Tesla. Shortly after Tesla's mysterious death in 1943, U.S. government agents seized his papers. Officially, they were catalogued by the Office of Alien Property Custodian. Unofficially, some were quietly transferred to the Vatican's deepest archives. Why would the Church want Tesla's designs for wireless power, resonance machines, and time-bending experiments? Some believe the Vatican feared his discoveries would shatter their control of knowledge. Others whisper that Tesla himself had tapped into something ancient, a universal frequency that aligned with the same hidden truths buried in apocryphal texts locked away for centuries. The Vatican has always been a fortress of secrets, and for good reason. In the Middle Ages, they suppressed writings that challenged official doctrine. In the Renaissance, they hid away texts of alchemy, astrology, and the occult. But in the modern age, secrecy has taken a new dimension. Leaked documents from within hint at the existence of files classified not only as secret, but as divinous, meaning their content is considered too divine, too dangerous, or perhaps too unearthly for public eyes. These may include prophecies, extraterrestrial accounts, and even technological blueprints that align suspiciously well with 20th-century black projects. A chilling story comes from a researcher in the 1960s who was granted rare access to study the medieval correspondence between popes and European monarchs. By mistake, he was given a box of mismarked scrolls. Within them, he claimed to have found descriptions of beings who descended from the sky in fiery chariots, demanding offerings in exchange for knowledge. The scrolls described their arrival not as myth but as a historical event. Terrified, he reported it to his superiors. Within a month, he died in a car accident, his notes confiscated, his findings buried. To this day, some insist the Vatican silences anyone who stumbles too close to the truth. There is another layer to this mystery: time. According to rumors circulating among underground historians, the Vatican vaults contain a device, not a book, not a scroll, but a machine. The legend goes that it was built in the 1950s by a team of scientists working under church commission. They called it the Chronovisor. Officially, it doesn't exist. But according to those who claimed to have worked on it, the Chronovisor was a viewing device that could access past events by manipulating electromagnetic resonance. Some say it was based on Tesla's confiscated notes. Others suggest it drew upon ancient instructions preserved in forbidden texts. Whatever the truth, those who have spoken about it claim the Vatican used it to witness key events of biblical history, the crucifixion of Christ, the destruction of the Temple of Solomon, even fragments of lost civilizations. If such a machine exists, it would mean the Vatican possesses not only the past, but also the ability to control the story of history itself. Skeptics argue this is nothing more than wild conspiracy. And perhaps it is. But then there are the slips, the little mistakes in official statements that keep the rumors alive. In 2012, a Vatican spokesperson, when asked about the Chronovisor in an interview, smiled and said, even if such a device existed, it would be dangerous for humanity. It was dismissed as a joke, but those who know the Vatican's careful control of words understand that nothing is ever said accidentally. Imagine it, beneath the shining golden domes of St. Peter's Basilica, beneath the chanting of prayers and the marble statues of saints, lies a vault that may hold the most forbidden knowledge in human history. A place where the past, present, and future are catalogued, hidden, and perhaps even controlled. If the whispers are true, then the Vatican Vaults are not just archives. They are a lockbox for humanity's greatest truths, truths too dangerous, too destabilizing, for the world to ever know. And this is only the beginning. Because as we move deeper into this story, we find connections not just to forbidden books or hidden machines, but to an entire network of suppressed history, a network that stretches from the ruins of Atlantis to the lost scrolls of Egypt, from Tesla's notebooks to the whispers of extraterrestrial visitors. And it all converges beneath the Vatican. Throughout history, empires rose and fell. Kings commanded soldiers, generals plotted wars, and monarchs hoarded treasure. But the Vatican, quietly and invisibly, collected something far more valuable: ideas. Every manuscript, every letter, every map confiscated or protected by the Church was not just an object, it was a piece of humanity's puzzle. And by locking them away, the Church ensured that only their version of the puzzle was ever shown to the world. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding the vaults concerns the lost Gospels. Most Christians today are familiar with the four canonical Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But what about the dozens of others that existed in the early centuries of Christianity? The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Judas, texts that present radically different versions of Jesus' life and teachings. Some portray him not as a distant son of God but as a human master of hidden knowledge. Others speak of secret initiations, of teachings reserved only for the few, of truths about reincarnation, cosmic cycles, and divine energy within each soul. The Council of Nicaea in 325 CE selected which Gospels would be included in the Bible and which would be suppressed. But suppressed does not always mean destroyed. Many believe the Vatican quietly preserved them, locking them away for fear that if humanity ever read them, the foundations of Christianity itself would shatter. Imagine if tomorrow it were revealed that Jesus' true message was not obedience to the Church, but direct personal access to divine power. The hierarchy of priests, bishops, and popes would collapse overnight. And so, these texts remain sealed, deep within the vaults. There are whispers that among them lies a fifth gospel, unknown to scholars, which describes events after the resurrection, Jesus traveling east, meeting sages in India and Tibet, absorbing and sharing wisdom far older than Christianity itself. If true, it would not only connect him to ancient Eastern traditions but also suggest that Christianity was part of a much larger, global spiritual movement. The vaults are also said to contain forbidden science. During the Renaissance, Europe was alive with discoveries: astronomy, mathematics, physics. But for every Galileo who challenged the Church's worldview, there were dozens whose discoveries were confiscated before they ever saw daylight. One chilling rumor tells of a 15th-century manuscript describing celestial orbs, spheres of energy capable of powering entire cities. The text was written in code, discovered in Florence, and immediately seized by papal agents. It was never seen again. Some conspiracy theorists argue this knowledge later resurfaced in modern experiments with free energy and zero-point fields, technologies suppressed to this day. And then, there are the occult manuscripts. Alchemy, astrology, Kabbalah, knowledge dismissed as superstition today but once considered the keys to unlocking the mysteries of existence. The Church officially condemned these practices, branding them heretical. Yet, curiously, it preserved their texts. Why hide what you condemn? Some suggest the Vatican knew these ancient systems contained fragments of truths that could grant immense power if understood. Imagine a coded alchemical formula describing energy transmutation. Or an astrological chart predicting not just seasons but world-shaping cosmic cycles. Locked away, they remain potential blueprints for reality itself. Even darker are the legends of texts describing beings not of this earth. One alleged manuscript, dating to the 8th century, tells of a star messenger who descended from the heavens in a vessel of fire. The monks who recorded the event described the being as radiant, speaking in a language unknown, and gifting a metallic artifact that could sing without breath. The artifact, some say, was taken to Rome, and still lies hidden beneath the Vatican. Skeptics dismiss this as myth, but it echoes eerily with similar accounts from Sumeria, India, and Mesoamerica, where gods from the stars brought gifts of knowledge. Could the Vatican be holding the missing link that ties all these myths together? A particularly unsettling story involves the Sibylline books. In Roman times, these prophetic scrolls were consulted during crises, believed to foretell the destiny of empires. When Christianity rose, the Church destroyed or altered many pagan traditions. Yet whispers claim the Sibylline prophecies were not destroyed, but absorbed into the Vatican's vaults. If true, they could contain predictions not just of Rome's fall but of events yet to come. Some even believe the prophecy of the final pope, a leader whose reign marks the end of the Church, comes from these forbidden scrolls. But perhaps the most explosive claim is that within the Vatican lies evidence of humanity's lost history. When Hernán Cortés and other conquistadors destroyed temples and libraries in the New World, countless artifacts vanished. Yet, according to secret reports, some were not destroyed but quietly transported to Rome. Codices describing advanced knowledge of astronomy, calendars stretching thousands of years into the future, and even references to sky teachers, all hidden away. The same is said of Egyptian relics after Napoleon's campaigns, and even artifacts smuggled out of Mesopotamia during the early 20th century. Bit by bit, a pattern emerges. The Vatican absorbs pieces of humanity's puzzle from every corner of the earth. Why? Perhaps because these fragments tell a story too dangerous for us to hear, a story in which civilizations far older and more advanced than we imagine once thrived, and fell. A story in which humanity may not be alone, but part of a cosmic network of civilizations. A story where the boundaries between religion, science, and myth collapse into one terrifying truth, that history as we know it has been deliberately rewritten. Even modern connections exist. In 2017, WikiLeaks released a strange set of emails referencing Vatican connections in advanced technology projects. Some were dismissed as misinterpretations, but others hinted at something deeper, a pipeline of suppressed knowledge running between governments, corporations, and the Church. One chilling theory suggests that while the Vatican hides knowledge from the masses, it shares select pieces with powerful elites, ensuring control remains in the hands of a few. It is here we arrive at the most disturbing possibility of all, that the Vatican vaults are not merely an archive but a weapon. By controlling the past, they control the present. By suppressing knowledge, they shape the future. And by hiding the truth of who we are, where we came from, and what awaits us, they ensure humanity remains in the dark, dependent on authority, fearful of questioning, blind to its own potential. Imagine if tomorrow morning, the Vatican released everything. The lost Gospels, the artifacts of star beings, the manuscripts of forgotten sciences, the prophetic scrolls. The shockwave would be beyond comprehension. Religions would collapse, governments would scramble, economies would implode. And perhaps, just perhaps, humanity would finally awaken to its true history. But until that day, the vaults remain locked. Guarded by silence, hidden beneath centuries of stone, waiting for the moment when their secrets are no longer secrets but revelations. The idea that the Vatican holds prophecies is not far-fetched. Throughout Catholic history, visions and revelations have played a central role. Saints claimed to hear voices of angels, mystics saw glimpses of the end times, and popes themselves received messages from the divine. But when those messages contradicted the Church's power, when they suggested a world beyond its control, they were hidden, silenced, or locked away. The most famous example is the Third Secret of Fatima. In 1917, 3 shepherd children in Portugal claimed to see the Virgin Mary, who delivered 3 prophetic visions. The first 2 were eventually revealed, a vision of hell, and a prediction of World War II. But the third vision was sealed in an envelope and delivered to the Vatican, where it remained hidden for decades. Officially, the Vatican released it in 2000, describing it as a vision of a bishop in white being killed. Yet many researchers believe the true third secret was never revealed. Some claim it foretold the collapse of the Church itself, or even the end of humanity. If that is true, then the Vatican continues to keep the real prophecy hidden to this day. And the third secret is not alone. Rumors swirl of dozens of prophecies stored in the vaults, predictions written by saints, ancient oracles, even pagan seers whose words were too precise to ignore. Among these is said to be a complete collection of the Sibylline prophecies, scrolls that once guided Roman emperors. While fragments survive, the originals may describe events stretching far into the future, including the final war between light and darkness. Then there is the chilling prophecy of St. Malachy, a 12th-century Irish archbishop who wrote a list of 112 popes, each described by a cryptic motto. According to this prophecy, the current pope, often interpreted as Francis, is the last. The prophecy ends with a terrifying line: "The city of 7 hills shall be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people." The end. The Vatican officially dismisses this as a medieval forgery. Yet some whispers suggest Malachy's full vision, the version locked in the vaults, contains details too frightening to reveal, not just the end of the papacy, but of the entire world order. The question is, why keep these prophecies hidden? The answer may lie in power. If humanity knew its future, governments would fall apart, economies would collapse, and religion would lose its grip. Fear of the unknown is the greatest tool of control, and perhaps the Vatican holds the keys to that fear. But what if the prophecies describe not just destruction, but transformation? A shift so radical it would change what it means to be human. Among the most whispered about vault documents are the so-called Chronicles of Enoch. According to legend, these are ancient manuscripts linked to the apocryphal Book of Enoch, a text banned from the Bible. They describe a race of watchers, beings from the heavens who descended to earth and altered humanity. But the chronicles go further, allegedly predicting their return. If true, the vaults may contain not just humanity's past but its next chapter, a revelation that we are not alone, and that our creators, or destroyers, are coming back. Even more disturbing are the apocalyptic visions allegedly sealed away, descriptions of cities swallowed by oceans, skies filled with fire, and humanity scattering like ashes. Some say these align with modern fears: climate change, nuclear war, even artificial intelligence. But others believe they point to something far older, something cyclical, the end of one age and the beginning of another. Ancient cultures from the Mayans to the Hindus spoke of cosmic cycles, where civilizations rise and fall over thousands of years. Could the Vatican's vaults contain proof that we are approaching the end of one such cycle? And then there are whispers of something stranger still: time travel manuscripts. In the 20th century, the Vatican was rumored to possess a device called the Chronovisor, a machine that allowed users to see past and future events. The claim came from Father Pellegrino Ernetti, a Benedictine monk, who swore that he and a team of scientists built the device in the 1950s. He even claimed to have seen the crucifixion of Jesus with his own eyes through the Chronovisor. The Vatican officially denied the machine's existence. But what if the vaults contain not just the plans for such a device, but the visions it revealed? Imagine shelves lined not with books, but with photographs and transcripts of events that have not yet happened. Wars, revolutions, disasters, or perhaps moments of hope, breakthroughs, and miracles yet to come. The final and most terrifying rumor is that the Vatican holds the prophecy of the Black Sun. Said to be written by an anonymous mystic in the 16th century, the prophecy describes a time when the sun itself turns dark, not by eclipse but by some cosmic event. In that darkness, the earth would tremble, and a hidden kingdom, some say Shambhala, others say Agartha beneath the earth, would rise. The prophecy ends with a single haunting line: "The old world shall die, and from its ashes a new light shall be born." What does this mean? Is it a metaphor for spiritual awakening, or a literal cosmic event? Could it connect to astronomical phenomena we do not yet understand, a supernova, a solar catastrophe, or something stranger still. The Vatican, if it truly possesses this prophecy, may already know the answer. And by hiding it, they may be protecting us, or controlling us. As we stand in the present, humanity faces crises on all fronts: political, environmental, technological, spiritual. The world feels as though it is approaching a tipping point. And perhaps the greatest secret of the Vatican Vaults is that they already know what happens when we tip. They may have the timeline. They may have the script. And if so, then everything, every decision by leaders, every silence by the church, every secret buried, is not random but part of a plan written long ago. But here is the final twist: prophecies are not set in stone. They are warnings, possibilities, paths. If the vaults truly contain visions of our end, perhaps they are kept hidden not to control us, but to give us the chance to change the future. To choose differently. To write our own ending. And so the Vatican Vaults remain, sealed beneath stone and shadow. They are not just an archive of history but a mirror of destiny. What lies inside them may terrify, enlighten, or liberate us. But until the day the doors are opened, we are left with only fragments, whispers, and the chilling realization that the greatest secrets of our past and future may already be known, and deliberately hidden from us.